Okay, so I've got my two photos open. What I want to do is copy this one and paste it on top of this one. So, anybody know a shortcut to copy everything at once? If you don't know it, it's Control A. Hold down the Control button, press A. That should create this dotted line all the way around your image, and then you can copy it. You can go to Edit, Copy, but the shortcut to do that is Control C. If you start using those shortcuts, it's going to save you a lot of time. Control C to copy. Now I'm going to switch over here to the church, and I'm going to hit Control V to paste. It should look like this. Why is it so much smaller than the church? Anyone? Anyone know? It's little. What do we call that? It's low what? Low pixels. Low resolution. It's not a very detailed image. Here's another interesting thing about this image. This image is not actually real. That's from a video game. I didn't realize it when I first copied it and used it for this assignment. That's not real. That's amazing to me. That's a really detailed video game. A lot of branches. It looks really cool. Okay. Control plus, Control minus is a fast way to zoom in and out. I use that a lot if I want to change my view. Okay, now, what we're going to do next is transform this image so that it fills up the box. But before you transform it, Caleb, you want to let them in? Control T. That's the shortcut for the transform. So we've done a lot of shortcut keys. Now, all these things that we're doing with shortcut keys, you can go to Edit and you can click Free Transform, and that does it too. Hey, welcome back. We're just getting started. I've been ranting for 15 minutes. Control T does it too, or you can go to Edit and do Free Transform. Okay, now this is really important. Before you start resizing this, hold down the Shift key, unless, of course, you have the newest version of Photoshop. If you have Photoshop 2020, if you updated Photoshop, you don't need to hold down the Shift key. But if you hold down the Shift key, you should get both sides getting larger horizontally and vertically at the same time. Now, if you have the older version of Photoshop like me and you don't hold down the Shift key, then this is what happens. You can kind of get it right, but you might make it too wide, you might make it too narrow, and it might look kind of weird. So I want to hold down the Shift key because I want to keep those proportions the same. And I want to just make this so it's big enough to take up the entire image of the church. And then I want to move it so that it's kind of in the middle. I want the road to be kind of in the center like that. Once you have done this, you're still in transform mode. You're still in what's called free transform. These boxes have to go away. You can't change tool. You can't do anything until you either apply the transformation or cancel it. So if you try to click like a different tool, this will come up. If you hit this little green check mark or this gray check mark here, that will also do the same thing. That will apply the transformation. Complete it. When you guys are transforming stuff, you might know it may not look as sharp, but as soon as you click transform, it will usually sharpen it and it'll look better. I'm going to zoom in now. We're going to look at some things on the layer menu. Everybody see a layer menu over here? Layers. You got background. You got layer 1. We just pasted a new layer, so that's called layer 1. Let's go ahead and name that forest. So to change the name of a layer, double click a layer. We'll type in forest. You don't always have to name your layers, but a lot of times it's a good idea when you have lots of them. If you have like 3 layers, it's not that big of a deal. But when you start to get like 20 layers, it makes your life so much easier if you go ahead and name the layers, because then you can find them when you want to work on them. Whatever layer you currently have active is the only thing you can affect. So if you do an adjustment and you have the forest active, you're adjusting the forest. If you have the background active, you're adjusting the background. You won't affect both at the same time. So you have right up here the word opacity and 100%. You can take that to, say, 50, and then you can see right through that layer and what's behind it. And that looks kind of cool. Maybe more like 75 would look even better. So if you want to blend different layers together so that you can see through them, you can use that. But there's another way. So we're going to look at another way. So I'm going to put the opacity back to 100. And that's this box right here. It's called blending modes. It says normal. Okay. There's a whole bunch of blending modes. I don't even know what some of these do, even though I've used them. But you can just kind of see what they do. Now I'll show you some of my favorites. One is called overlay. And that blends the two images together. But the brighter the image, the less that it gets through. So like the sky is mostly filled with sky, but then the darker part of the image, it's allowed to show through. So that looks kind of neat. Overlay is kind of cool. Soft light and hard light will let different parts of the image show through and other parts not show through. Vivid light is very strong, kind of extra creepy looking. It's a cool effect. That's hard light. It's almost very abstract. The colors get really messed up when you do hard light or hard mix. There's a bunch of different ones. You can just try them out and see what you like. They all have really, that's kind of cool because it like reverses the forest. Where it was black, it becomes white in the background. That's kind of cool right there. I like that one. Now for this assignment though, what I want you guys to do is let's all use the same one just so that you can play around with different ones and see what they do. Like some of them may not really work at all. Whoa, that's really dark. And you can also do a different blending mode. These are called blending modes, by the way. You can also change opacity too. Wow, that's a pretty good effect right there. That's really creepy looking. Cool. So I tell you what, I want you guys to play around with this and try to get an effect that looks like vivid light. Something like this. Now I'm going to show you one more thing today, and that's just using the eraser tool and how to and this is going to how to do brushes and stuff. So let's zoom in over here real quick. What I want to do is I like this effect, but I want to see the door. I want to see the church door more. It's almost too covered up, so I want the door to be visible. Over here on your toolbar, there's a tool we haven't used yet. It's a paintbrush. Nope, I'm sorry. It's an eraser. It's below the paintbrush. And it looks kind of like almost like a black and white little pill or something, but that's the eraser tool. And when you have a brush tool, anything that you can paint on like an eraser, then you have brush controls. So your controls are up here. This is the size of your brush. You click that little arrow to bring the brush control up. Size of your brush and the hardness. A hard brush has like really sharp edges, and a soft brush has blurry edges. Most of the time, a soft brush works better than a hard brush when you're trying to blend. So I put my hardness to 0, and then I need a big brush. And if you change the size and you take it over here, you can kind of get a preview of what it's going to be. That's too small. For me, I need something around 300 pixels. Actually, maybe about 250 would be just about right. You can just slide this around. You don't have to be exact with it, around 250. That's about right. Now there's one other really important control. Opacity. Opacity is how much gets erased. I don't want to totally erase it. I just want to make it lighter. So I want to try about 30%. So that's going to leave some of the layer, but erase 30% of the layer. Now I'm going to use that brush, and I'm just going to kind of try to brush out the church door. And I'll go ahead and do I'll do the steps too. So that whole time I clicked once and I dragged back and forth. I never clicked twice. Now if I go back over it again, it erases 30% more. I don't want to do that though. I just want to do it a little bit more. And then if you ever mess up, over here on this little panel, you have all of your actions, and you can just undo actions. You can undo all the way back to before you even start erasing if you want. Or you can go to wherever you're happy with it. I'm going to try again, but instead of 30%, I'm going to do 25%. I want it to be just a little less. That's better. That's more what I want. I want to see the door, but I don't want to totally take away the texture and pattern away from it. That's kind of more what I wanted right there. But if you guys already have it and you're happy with it, that's okay. All right, final thing today. We're going to upload this to Classroom. So we need to save it first. Save as or export as. And you got to make sure you change this before you click save. So let me show you what to change. Save as type. You're always saving as JPEG. And give it a name, like I'm going to call mine Spooky Church. Give it a name. If you're using Photopea, it won't let you rename documents, so you can rename them on after you've saved them. But while you're saving them, it won't let you name them. I've already done this once, so it's saying, do you want to replace it? Sure. Your JPEG options, you usually want to leave this on 8 and just hit OK. And then you can go to Classroom and upload what you just did, and you're done with that assignment. Blending modes can be great for when you want to create something that's just kind of like got a little bit of expressionism. Like you can take a black and white photo and put a color photo over it and mix the two colors together. You can get some really cool effects with it.